Hey guys, so today I am making a zombie unicorn cake. I originally was going to do a tutorial, however, I ended up doing it on live, so I'm just going to post my live video and tell you guys what I'm doing as the video is going. So the first thing I'm doing is adding some black ribbon to the bottom of my cake. I'm using piping gel to add the black ribbon. I add the ribbon first. That way I can kind of see how much space on the cake I have to work with. Now, if this was a cake for a customer, I would have definitely made it taller. However, it was just the cake because I was bored and I just wanted to do a design. So now that I've added the black ribbon, I've taken the top paper off, which was parchment paper, and I am using a small circle cutter to cut out a circle. Now this is not a fondant cake, it is a buttercream cake. So I'm literally cutting out a circle shape of icing, and I'm using a spoon to kind of scoop out a little bit of not only the icing but the cake itself to kind of add some depth because we're going to make a eyeball. So if you see right there, there's my circle, and yeah, we're gonna make an eyeball. So the eyeball, I just use white fondant, cut a small orange circle, and then I cut another smaller black circle to make it look like a pupil. So that I am going to stick in the circle that I've created with my cutter. So now that I have my eye done, I have my circle cut out where my eye is going to fit. To make it a little more realistic, I'm taking some red fondant that I am going to first knead, and then I'm going to roll it out. And I'm going to use a bigger circle cutter to actually cut out another circle that's going to be bigger than my eyeball, because essentially this is going to go behind the eyeball to kind of make it look more fleshy and more like gory. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm rolling out my red fondant so that I can cut a bigger circle. Okay, so now I have my circle done, and as you see, I am fitting it into the space on my cake just to see how it aligns before I actually make sure that I attach it well. Again, this is a buttercream cake, so I'm being very careful not to stick my hands anywhere on the cake, because the longer it stays out at room temperature, the softer that it gets. So yeah, I'm just measuring to see how the eye is, and eventually what I'm going to do is take a toothpick and stick it through the back of my eyeball to keep it in place. So right here I see, okay, it looks good. Now it's time for me to secure it with a toothpick. So now that we have the eyeball in place, I'm going to do the pretty eyelash for the other side of the unicorn. This method I'm using today, very simple. I just rolled out a piece of black fondant, and I used like a medium-sized circle cutter to cut a circle. Once you have your circle cut, you really just want to basically cut a small piece of the circle, like a small edge of the circle with that same cutter, and it would kind of be like an outline as you see. And all I'm going to do with that little piece is I'm going to attach it to my cake, and I'm going to kind of curve one end of it up to actually make the eyelash. So like I said, this is what I call the pretty version of the eyelash. And once you turn it around, which I'm getting ready to now, you'll see how I just slightly curved it to give it that eyelash eyebrow look. So we got our eyes situated. Now it's time to add detail to that 3D eyeball. So I'm using just plain red food coloring, no gel food coloring, just plain red food coloring. And I'm going to add just a tad bit of vodka so that it can dry quickly. And I'm going to add that to like a little small medicine cup. I'm going to use a dropper and a paintbrush to add it onto the eyeball and around the eyeball to give it that blood oozing out effect. Okay, so after going back and adding more and more detail, I finally got the look that I wanted to achieve with like the bloody eye. So now we can actually move on to decorating the top and the back and the sides of the unicorn. So to follow the Halloween colors and the Halloween theme, I'm going to use some black icing, orange icing, of course, because I already had some of that done, as well as some purple icing. And these are the three colors that I'm going to use to do the roses of the unicorn. So I'm going to first go in with the purple and then follow with the orange and then finally the black. So I had already made my gold horn and I just used white fondant, put a little Tylose powder in it to stiffen it up. I let it dry and then I painted it lightly with gold luster dust, and then I added some gold disco dust to it to give it that sparkly effect. So as you can see, I'm just adding the unicorn to the top first before I go in and add my unicorn ears. If you can see, one of my unicorn ears, I've kind of like cut little slits in them and little tears to make it seem a little rugged, like the zombie unicorn was she's a little injured. So yeah. So the horn and the ears are added. I'm going to go back in with that bloody food coloring I used earlier, and I'm going to add it to the ear that has the tear in it, just to make the blood drip down the ear, as well as I'm going to add some to the unicorn too, to make that bloody effect come out of the unicorn horn as well. So the very last thing I decided to do was make my own sprinkles. So I am using 4 different packs of Wilton sprinkles that I got from Michael's. They were $1 a pack. I think they were on sale, so I paid like 60 cents each. So one is green and purple, one is orange, yellow, and black, and then I have 2 that are in the little ball shapes that are orange and yellow, and then I think orange and black. So I'm just putting those in a mixing cup and I'm going to mix them all together, and I am going to add them to the top of my cake. So if you guys like this tutorial and want to see more, make sure you subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so that you're notified whenever we post new videos. So finally, guys, here we have it, is our zombie unicorn cake. I think it came out so good, especially to be a buttercream cake. and I honestly didn't have a plan. I didn't have an idea. I didn't have a sketch. I just did it. And this is how it came out, and I love it.